Good morning, everyone. Okay, Emily, looks like I should have screen share access, so let me try to share my screen. Okay, everybody should be able to see my screen. It looks like we have a few people on here, and I guess we could just give it a minute to for anybody else that's logging on, and then I'll get started. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for being here this morning. My name is Joe Ray. I'm with Klein Educational Systems. We are a California-based uh, both consultant and distributor of career technical educational training solutions and pathways. Um, for those of you that maybe are not familiar with us, so we're based out of Davis, California, near the Sacramento area, and we have people in place in California, Arizona, Nevada, Washington, and Oregon. We also do some business in Alaska and Hawaii. I am our general manager here for the Southern Division of Klein. And today, our topic is we're going to be talking about a new movement that's come from both the public and private sector to basically help solve the skills gap crisis going on in the country in advanced manufacturing and related industries. And the name of this project is Ignite Mastering Manufacturing. Since we have a small group, I thought I'd just ask quickly, feel free to use the chat if you'd like, but first and foremost, just want to make sure everybody can see my screen and can hear me. Even a nod will do as well. Just want to make sure. Okay, I see Marty tipping the cap.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Hey, good, Marty, thanks.
Good to see you.
You too. You too. Looks like we've got some new folks that just joined us here. Okay, so as long as everybody can see me, then I'll go ahead and proceed here. Okay, so as I said, the topic today is Ignite Mastering Manufacturing. So guys, I think what I'll do here today, and sometimes one of the nice things about having a small group like this is we can interact a little bit. I did want to try to get an idea of for the folks that are on our meeting today, what type of program, that you are currently doing. The reason is too, I think what you'll find is Ignite is a kind of a large umbrella of different options and different solutions that have been co-developed through these partnerships with some of these government agencies and universities and organizations that I'll talk here about today. And what it basically does, right, is it gives a series of pathways, a series of different structures that you can use to kind of more closely resemble, where you may be looking to kind of fill in some of the the areas in your pathway that you're looking to address, and then kind of more specifically, right, line up skill sets, for employment opportunities in your particular region of the country. So I think what you'll see is it's quite vast in terms of the different ways you can kind of go with Ignite, but it is set up in that way to kind of allow more of a custom type of solution to help you, achieve the different types of goals you're trying to achieve with your particular program. So at any given time, if you could, please feel free to use the chat. Just, maybe let me know what school and what type of program you have. And I'll certainly, as I kind of go through some of the basics here, send me some questions your way, and I can focus on any particular pieces of this, that may be of more interest to you. But in a nutshell, guys, I think it's always, one of the really important things with this is to really talk about the story behind it, right? How did this come about? What is this? And why is that relevant? So I'm going to skip over to a website here that I'd ask you all to check out when you get a minute. There was a big movement going on across the country. And there have been 14 advanced manufacturing research institutes set up across the United States. One of the primary institutes that has really taken on, this goal of driving American manufacturing through a skilled workforce is the LIFT Institute. LIFT, which stands for Lightweight Materials Manufacturing Institute. So it's a nonprofit public-private partnership between the U.S. Department of Defense and then several both industry, academia, and other national networking or manufacturing institutes across the country. And this organization really was set up and funded to look at advancing technology and talent development in the manufacturing sector, and very specifically to keep the U.S. military industrial complex, innovating and growing and staying ahead of the game, as they've found that, a lot of the innovative technologies we're coming up with is fantastic. But one of the things that we're also seeing across the country in a lot of these research projects was that, as we innovate technologies and we come up with more advanced ways to use lightweight metals, to be able to do some of these processes and how we build and how we construct and design things. In a lot of cases, it requires a much more advanced and skilled operator or technician or installer, right? These different jobs that have to do with actually installing, maintaining, operating, programming, the technology. And so this became a key issue. And what we found was that, these organizations, through their partnership with the Department of Defense, were able to actually use those research reports to provide the data that the DoD needed to declare this actually a national security threat to the interests of the United States. This skills gap, right? This is now considered to be a threat to our national security interests. So this is really sprung this was basically the main motivation and kind of sprung the initiative for developing this program, which is called Ignite Mastering Manufacturing. And there's some key partnerships built around this. The key partner that these organizations that fund and support Ignite, that the key partner they chose to really help build out these curriculums, develop the hands-on, skill set type training around it, was a company by the name of Amatrol. And for any of you that aren't familiar with Amatrol, they're based out of Indiana, Southern Indiana. This is their website here, amatrol.com. Certainly, when you get some time, peruse their website. They are a world leader in developing, technical skills-based content and industrial component grade hands-on training solutions. They work with many different companies. I'm sure that we all either have in our home or in our garage. We probably have a lot of their products. Amatrol works with a lot of these companies and develops a lot of these internal training programs for their skilled technical people, and then works with most of the workforce development and community college, training providers across the country as well. So they are the key kind of, you could say, curriculum and equipment partner. But let me give you a quick look at some of the other organizations that are partnered on this project. So as we said, Lyft, just one example. We also have a research institute here based in LA called CESMI, Clean Energy Smart Manufacturing Institute. So that's CESMII, and they would actually be our West Coast Regional Institute. And they are also very active in education. But Lyft, really is a membership organization linking Fortune 500 companies to small, medium enterprises in manufacturing, and then has a really solid, public-private partnership. So just to give you an idea of some of the government agencies, so they work with the Office of the Secretary of Defense. Former Assistant Secretary, Department of Labor, Emily DeRocco, who came over to DoD to get this project going. Sadly, most recently passed away, if you heard about that, on July 3rd. But she was such a champion for this, had done so much quality work in really getting all these partnerships together to get this thing off the ground and going. So just a true patriot, and just what a wonderful person she was. And a lot of this work comes from, her group and their talents and efforts. But they were able to get some of these groups together. So we have the Department of Defense, Department of Navy Science and Technology, Department of Commerce. DevCom is a big partner they're the ground vehicle system center for a lot of the ground vehicles that the military, I know primarily the US Army uses. And then of course the US Army is a member as well. To get into some of the other members, this is kind of their full member list. So there's a lot of large industrial partners here that I'll show you as well. That you can see here on the screen, including a lot of names you probably would recognize: GE, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. Also, some other employers that you'll find, in the state of California as well. I know one of our companies we work with very closely, Fanuc America, is a key partner in this as well. And then we have a lot of research partners. So these are all the research institutes, the universities that had partnered with Lyft and some of these other advanced manufacturing research institutes that helped co-develop a lot of this curriculum and had worked on these, these research projects. And then we have, of course, some of the associations, the different accrediting associations, that are part of this project as well. So really like to show that so you can understand really how extensive this curriculum design and implementation of this type of program is. It's got some major backing from not only some large employers, but also, some of our key government institutions and departments that are trying to address this in partnership with industry across the country. So that's just a little bit of the background, okay, on who's behind this and who's kind of helping develop this. So let's get into the actual, meat and potatoes of what this is. So the idea is this, guys. There is a common misconception around the country that manufacturing is basically machining and 3D printing, right? You'll find a lot of programs that's really their focus and their emphasis, and certainly those are very important, and those are parts of the larger umbrella of what we would call advanced manufacturing. But what we're finding is that where there's really a lack is in getting into a lot of these automation-based technologies, right? So fluid power technologies, electronics, the foundations of how do we use electric relays to control electricity and motors, right? And how do we actually use computer controls, which we call PLCs, right? The industrial computers that are the brains of all the automated processes going on and telling everything what to do and at what time and how fast to do it and when to stop and when to start. These are, very key technologies required in automation, where we're seeing a huge lack of folks coming out of the educational system that even really have a baseline of some of these skill sets. So what we're looking at, right, is, okay, how do we infuse a lot of these, what we would call industry 4.0, or kind of more cross-technical skill areas into a current, manufacturing pathway. And this is where, they've come up with, I think, some really interesting models to look at for how you can do that. So this page has a lot of good information on it. I won't get into some of the videos. When you get a minute, check out some of these videos. They're typically pretty short and sweet, but they're really good and to the point, and give you a good look at, what would a classroom look like? What are some of the options that you can integrate to address some of these areas, right? If you say, look, we're not really doing anything in pneumatics, but we understand that that's very important. And for us to be able to do more automated types of systems, we need to understand pneumatics. There may be a video that just shows you kind of a brief introduction on how you can integrate introductory to intermediate to even advanced, pneumatic training skills into your program. In terms of the course curriculum, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Okay, they've developed a lot of different projects, so they have more comprehensive team-based projects. They have what we call, mini projects. So there's a lot of kind of team-based ways you can then reinforce these skill sets, and integrate into your pathway as well. I'll get into some of that today. If you see anything that strikes your interest, certainly shoot me a note. Your Klein representative will be in touch with you and can give you, very more specific details on those types of things. But in kind of in whole, so course one, right, is what we look at is there's an introduction to advanced manufacturing. And there's a lot of kind of key learning areas here that you'd probably want to look at. So what I'm going to do is, I think the best way to show it is to go over to the Amatrol LMS. What we're doing now is we're actually logging into the e-learning platform where all of this content resides. They've actually come up with 6 different courses, and we have schools that are starting to implement certain pieces and parts of this in different ways. But just to give you a look at the foundational introductory course, we're going to cover everything from principles of advanced manufacturing, safety responsibilities, right? Types of personal protective equipment, introduction into how to read prints, right? And schematics, multi-view drawings. And then we start to get into some of the operational type of skills where we get into, basic robot operation and robot points, introductions into CNC machining and operation, solid model creationing and introduction to solid modeling. I'm sure a lot of you folks probably are getting into that. I know a lot of our schools seem to use different types of 3D modeling software pretty well. So that's been exciting to see. And then of course, into the power and control side of automation, right? When we talk about fluid power and cylinder circuits and control circuits. And then we have a lot of really nice, applied mathematics built in for fractions, decimals, whole numbers. Measurement, right? Precision measurement is key, and that's a big focus of what we cover here. And then, as you can see, we do get into a lot of the different projects that can be available as well. So we've got some pretty cool, kind of exciting ways they've come up with, and these are, of course, more focused at the K through 12 level, the high school level. We understand, right, at the high school level, you maybe have someone that hasn't made a real specific decision yet about the specific path they want to take in life. So keeping them engaged in learning some of these technical skills can be a task. And in most cases, right, getting them on a team where they can work together to apply that knowledge is a good way to do that and keep them excited and engaged. The other thing we all know it does, and you guys are probably hearing this from your employers, is, it kind of gets them, starting to practice those soft skills and communication skills that, a lot of these young people obviously are struggling more with these days. So that is, all built into the course material as well. And for anybody that wants to get a demo access to this, when you get a chance to go through it, if you want to go deep in the weeds on anything, it's really as simple as clicking on the module. It'll show all the different learning objectives, the actual skill sets, the skill assessments and skill training we're doing in that particular module. So that's all there for you if you want to look into anything more specifically. And then we'll go into introduction to systems. We're going to cover some lean manufacturing concepts, getting into a lot more of the advanced areas of this. We do have manual machine tools, getting into flexible manufacturing cells, and then mechatronic systems. And this is, I know, been a big topic these days of, what really is mechatronics? What is really a structured way to teach this, right? A lot of times you see kind of a very sophisticated, integrated large piece of equipment, but there's not a lot of conversation around how do you build a pathway to that so that students really have the prerequisite knowledge to be more successful when they're getting their hands on, something that is much more industrial-like, right? A fully integrated line. So I think that's another thing you'll find here with Ignite is they've really built, a lot of content into here to where you can kind of build that structured skill set so that students are much more effective and knowledgeable when they get on, a much more sophisticated, integrated piece of equipment. And then, lastly, we have advanced materials and design, but one of the things that you'll probably start hearing a lot more about from your industry partners is data analytics and networking. So that is also there. And that is very much, considered kind of your advanced level course, right? This is somebody that really starts to understand the cyber physical systems, right? We now have IP addresses on all of these smart sensors that are on physical equipment in a plant, sending, in analytics on a cloud-based Ethernet network, and really now getting someone that can understand enough of the IT to be able to monitor that. And we start to get into topics of predictive maintenance analytics, right? Literally being able to fix something before it breaks because you know when it's going to break, and you can decrease your amount of downtime by fixing that problem before it becomes a problem and you have to shut down a whole line, right? That is quintessential to industry's needs. I can tell you, I recently, just in the past month, I've been to Fender in Corona, the guitar manufacturer. I've been to Rio Tinto Minerals and their mine in Boron, California. And I just got back from Oakley at their manufacturing facility in South Orange County. And this was quintessential to all of these employers. Their main need, they said, we do machining, we do plastic injection molding, right? We actually physically fabricate and make things, they said, but what we need is we need the industrial maintenance technicians that can come in and understand how to better operate, better troubleshoot systems. They said, a lot of times we'll have an error code pop up, but you've got to figure out, is it really an electrical problem? Do we have an issue with a particular AC motor on the line? Or, is it a mechanical problem? Do we have a belt that's down for a reason, or a chain drive that, is stuck? Or do we literally have something in the computer program that's telling everything what to do that's off? Perhaps the engineer didn't get something right and the program was not written specifically as it should have been. And you need to be able to go in on an interface, see what that program's doing, and be able to report that, intelligently to engineering so that they better understand that maybe they need to change the coding in their program. So this really gets to the heart of what all these employers are looking for. And these are very much high wage, higher career opportunity positions. In most cases in California, we're seeing that, you're starting out in the low 20s, and very quickly with some advanced certifications and possible AS degree, you're very much more in the mid to high 30s per hour. So very, very much, what we consider to be a career-based, opportunity, not just a lower wage, lower skilled job. So like I said, there is a lot of content here, and I wanted to give you kind of a brief overview on everything that's been developed, just to kind of give you a snapshot of, the different ways we can go with this. I'll give you one last example, and then I wanted to open it up to some Q&A. so that we can dig into, the specific things that anyone on the call may want to look at that makes the most sense to them. I know that some of our folks have been looking at, okay, how do we kind of fast track in these types of programs and what certifications line up with these curriculums? We do have several options. There is the MSSC Fast Track, if anybody's familiar with Certified Production Technician. And what that looks like, I'll show you here really quick. You may have seen this going around. This is getting a lot of traction in industry. So this certification, right, essentially there's a written multiple choice component. There's 4 modules. And then there is a hands-on testing component. That's really the key piece. We're seeing a lot of interest from our employers in. Okay, so there is a way that we actually can teach a lot of those skill sets through the Ignite curriculum on this system, and can actually be a hands-on test where you can verify up to 66 hands-on skills between precision measurement, print reading, electrical, pneumatics, and controls, and hand tools, to where students have to fully measure, design, connect, fabricate, and then control and operate this system. And essentially what this is, folks, is they engineered a manufacturing, process and facility, and shrunk it down onto something that would fit on a 6-foot, table. It comes with a compressed air source, and does plug into a standard wall outlet. So we have the CPT certification available for how we can integrate this into your pathway. It requires a discussion to kind of learn more about what you cover and how many hours you cover it in, and where you would want to integrate some of this content. Also, the other thing I'll mention is we also have, you may be familiar with SOCA, the Smart Automation Certification Alliance. A lot of this same content that we're covering in Ignite is the same content that they're covering in the SOCA curriculum as well. So what we can also do is, as we look at, what content makes the most sense for what you want to do, we can line up the specific SOCA certifications that address that content as well. In a lot of cases, what we find is you're covering a lot of the same associate level 1 content here. Okay, so that's for the associate level 1 SOCA certification. We also find that in a lot of those areas, you're probably covering the gold certification for specialist. So you'll find that a lot of those particular technology training systems and curriculums come with a micro specialist certification that both has a cognitive component, right, which is your online assessment. We call that the silver certification, and then has the authentic testing component, right, the hands-on piece that you do on the equipment, and that comes with a gold certification. So in terms of Ignite, those are the 2 key certification bodies that we can line up the objectives and outcomes with, and you could have a industry recognized certification as part of that course curriculum and testing opportunity. So with that, I'm going to open it up to anybody that might have any questions, and I'd be happy to discuss that with you.
So Ray, I jumped in a little early. Wondering how much access would we have to explore this site right now?
Sure, good question. So the way we can do this, if you are interested, is there's 2 different types of licenses you can do. There's a basic demo license, and what that really is we just take some content out of it, we populate it in a demo account, and then you can go through it the way a student would go through it. If you want a much more deep dive, if you want to really look at everything and being able to see a lot of the administrative side of it, that's one of the big pieces of this, right, is the reporting functions of how you can track students' progress, their certification achievement, all that good stuff. There is a fee for that, but what Klein will do is we'll sponsor that fee to Amatrol. So what we would ask for is your name, your school, and your preferred email address. And then what we do is we set it up with either a 4 to 6 month evaluation license where you get the full access. And really what we would suggest then is usually about a 20 to 30 minute web meeting orientation with our specialist. They can show you how to navigate it, how to do the basics of, taking content, setting up a custom course, enrolling students. Once you do that, you should have a pretty good feel for how to navigate the site and how to use it.
And if we wanted to use it, is it per seat, or do you guys just do a whole package and we sign up whoever we have in our classes? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So what it will come down to is content. In most cases, and especially the way Amitral discounts this for the high school level, in most cases, it makes sense to just buy a full library access. You can purchase single course access licenses. So to give you an example, right? You can purchase just a course one access license where your students would only have access to this content in course one of this particular course, or you can purchase a library access license where you'll have access to all of this, and you can pick and choose what content you want to put in the course, and the students would have access to that. So you either do a course license or a library access license, and then yes, there's different ways based on the amount of students that we can price that out. For high schools, what most of our high schools do is they have a unlimited access campus lease, which means unlimited amount of teachers and students at a single school campus can have full annual access to everything 24/7 for $4,000.
That's not bad. That's kind of nice.
And they have it available in Spanish courses too, folks, for anybody that might have interest in that. So what Amitral's done essentially is they've started to organize different content based to different industry recognized certifications in a lot of these partnerships that they work on. So there's different ways you can do that. We also have a lot of this stuff available in the main library, which is kind of more your generic libraries where a lot of this content resides. But for purposes of today's conversation and Ignite, the nice thing is they've taken out a lot of that content. They've brought in a lot of the new partnered content that's come from some of their research partners, and then they've put that in its own library for you. So it's already all been organized. It's really up to the instructor to kind of really look at it, decide what pieces and parts of it they want to use. And then it's as simple as, just creating a course where you click on those courses, you give it a course title, and then it's really as easy as enrolling students.
Joe, I have two questions.
Yeah.
What's more recognized in industry, SOCA or MSSC? And then the other question is, if I'm just doing like a PLC class, want one part of your library, is it still like $4,000 or what do you think? I mean, I'm just doing Allen Bradley PLCs. That's it.
Okay. So Paul brings up a really good question. Let's talk about this for a second. So what's more recognized, MSSC or SOCA? Okay, so I'll try to give you the not long philosophical answer to that, but basically what this comes down to is exposure, right? Exposure. If you go into certain states, some good examples would be, Wisconsin, Ohio, Colorado, Indiana. There's very, very large exposure to these certifications across the board. What we've found, guys, is in California, it's just a more difficult conversation. A lot of times manufacturers will tell us they do not recognize certain certifications. And I can tell you from experience, I've been doing this for 14 years and I've done this many times. Klein, we sit on various different advisory councils and even specific manufacturing advisory councils. A lot of times you take the logos off, you turn it around, you put the skill outcomes in front of them, and you ask them to highlight the ones that make sense to them and that matter, right? And they do. And then you turn it around, and you say, well, just so you know, that's this certification. Okay, so we have a bit of a chicken and the egg situation there where I think what we're seeing is this, to get more specific to answering Paul's question, is MSSC has been around a lot longer. They have U.S. Department of Labor registered apprenticeships in various different states. So they're probably going to be much more highly recognizable to a lot of the employers than SOCA. SOCA is a new movement that started 2 years ago, well, 2.5 years ago. specifically to integrate Industry 4.0 skill sets into manufacturing pathways. I can tell you this, as of last November, they are now a standards recognized entity by the US DOL for industry recognized apprenticeship for Industry 4.0. They have very large employers that are not only active members, but are using the SACA framework for their own internal apprenticeships. Rockwell Automation is a perfect example of that. So right now, Paul, I think MSSC is more recognized if you look at it from a country, or, a national perspective. We're seeing major growth for SACA right now, I would say on the West Coast, and we have like, for instance, the state of Nevada just recently through the Office of Workforce Innovation in the state of Nevada, they have now designated SACA as on the state approved credential list for pathways for information technology, advanced manufacturing, and supply chain. So this was through the Nevada Industry Excellence Council, which is a council of many different employers, a lot of which are manufacturers, both in Washoe and Clark County. Okay, that basically came to the table and said, absolutely, we need this. We want to recognize this. So just to give you a recent example, I think SACA is really starting to take off, but right now, probably MSSC is a little more recognizable. To answer your second question, the way you would do that, Paul, would probably be just to simply, we would go in the automation library and we would just look at the specific Allen Bradley course, based on whatever, like for instance, are you using compact logics or control logics?
I'm going to be using Studio 5000.
Okay.
So
we've got a few, gotcha. We've got a few different courses we use that with. So we would just look at whatever particular course made the most sense for you, and you would just probably buy a single course access if that's all you wanted to do.
I do not see all these courses that you have up here on my Amatrol LMS. I kind of need that to really decide. Okay. But I mean, RCC or Norco College has bought some aspect of the Amatrol LMS, and I plan on using it, and I think I've written my course well to use that one aspect. And we have enough licenses that we just give the student what they should access. So I think I'm satisfied with what I have, but I would like to have more to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. Because I see a lot more on your screen than what I see on my LMS.
Okay, let me look into that for you then and make sure that you do have full access. I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, this is blowing. I mean, there's so much. If a college is not using it, it's just like, wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Support you more, Joe. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
I desperately need this recording. I need to show this to the question about SACA and MSSC. I need to send this to another teacher. So I really need this recording. I have to.
Okay.
So good stuff. Thank you for addressing that.
Hey, Paul, this is going to be on the CITA website, all of these sessions. So you'll be able to access them.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely, Paul. We'll make sure to get that to you. And then one last thing I did want to mention. So guys, SESME, so they are, like I said, they are the West Coast based group here of the Advanced Manufacturing Research Institute group. They currently sent out an RFP. They have grant funding available through Department of Defense, and it's called Smart Automation Innovation Grant Opportunity. And I know they're looking for partner schools. I know they're a big fan of the Ignite, and I know Conrad Leva, their workforce development director, even specifically did single out to me SACA. He was a big fan of the SACA framework. And so they have a Rolodex of a lot of local manufacturers in California as well. So, we've been in conversation with them. They're working pretty closely with Amatrol on a specific project right now. I don't have all the details on it. It has to do around, smart connected manufacturing. But, one of our goals is to really start driving this with some of these industry folks, specifically in California. I know the Manufacturers Council, the Inland Empire, this is going to be put in front of them later this fall, and there's going to be a lot of talk there. Obviously, they have some key, community college partners in their region that do a lot of this type of training. So, one of the other things we're looking at with this is there are some government agencies that are quite literally looking at this framework to fund, right? They want to fund it because the reason is now that this has been going for, a matter of years, the past, 4 or 5 years, that a lot of these programs and big workforce conglomerates across the country have started doing, it's working. It's working very well. In fact, in a lot of parts of the country, there's some really interesting frameworks to look at. In Wisconsin, you have the whole, that's where SACA basically originated, and you have the Gateway Technical College partnership with a lot of the employers there, Harley Davidson, Ashley Furniture, Foxconn, just to name a small few, Rockwell Automation. And they have the whole, partnership from the University of Wisconsin system through to the community college and high school. And it's all based around SACA. The FAME, if you look up the FAME initiative in the Southeast, I know it's very big in Alabama, where we have a lot of manufacturers. It's been working very well there. There's just some great data coming out of there where they're showing a lot more people, getting hired and being retained into the manufacturing, industry sector in a lot of these areas. The other big thing we're seeing in Southern California, for any of our Southern California folks, I mean, also certainly in parts of Northern California as well, but the supply chain sector, right? A lot of these employers that have distribution centers, fulfillment centers, these warehouses that they're putting in are becoming much more automated. Klein is a member of the Distribution Management Association. That's for anybody that wants to look that up, and we would encourage you. I know they would love to have more educational members. That's the DMA, Distribution Management Association. What we found is that COVID has absolutely accelerated their need to automate their facilities more. And a lot of these companies didn't traditionally come from manufacturing, so they don't really have a lot of their own apprenticeship models in place for how they would employ and train these types of technicians. And we call them supply chain automation technicians. A lot of the same skill sets that you're finding here. So that is going to be a big area of emphasis for us, I can tell you, in a lot of parts of California, where I think in terms of volume, in terms of quantity, we're seeing significant growth in that sector for employment needs. So if anybody's based in any of those areas where, that's a huge opportunity for your community, please let us know. We've got some really nice relationships, both on the, the educational and on the industrial side. And if you're interested in doing a program like this, I really can tell you, those are folks that would want to come in and talk to you and your administration about how they can help you do that. So, consider that as well. The supply chain industry, this is absolutely geared for them as well.
Hey, Joe, that looks like an ideal partnership for the Beaumont Unified School District and their expansion of their program.
Yeah, that's a big growing area. I know.
It
seemed like it all started years ago with Skechers, and now there's a lot of different employers moving in.
Well, we've got Amazon just opened up a new distribution center in Beaumont, so there's a built-in partnership right there.
Yeah, one of the I'll just show this real quick. If you give me 60 seconds, and then I'll be done. But there's a project going on right now between them and FANUC. So Amazon is a large FANUC industrial, commercial customer, and one of the things we're hearing, folks, from a lot of our employers is this: robotic programming, certainly important. Programming is a key skill set that absolutely is valuable in any advanced manufacturing pathway. One thing we have been hearing, and it's not just Amazon that's brought this up. So right now, FANUC has their Certified Robot Operator 1 and Operator 2 certifications that are part of the FANUC CERT program. We have a handful of high schools across the state that teach this, several community colleges. But in terms of job opportunities, typically a programmer is going to need many years experience on the job, engineering level degree, and they're going to be the only one given security clearance to literally be able to go into programming and write programs and tell the robots what to do in a facility, right? What we're being told is that a robot technician, however, they're going to need many of these folks. So a robot technician is someone who's more not going to focus as much on the programming. They're going to be very specific to operational and technical maintenance. So really understanding how to use an onboard
Hey.
and being able to troubleshoot through a situation when there's error codes that pop up on a robot. This is a current certification that's being piloted right now. There's a few choice schools across the country that are piloting this. It was, of course, supposed to be done at the beginning of 2020, and then we all know kind of what happened there. But they've got, with people getting back into the classroom, they've got it going now and piloting this summer and fall. So this will be one to keep your eye out for, because this is one specific one. I can tell you that the company Marty just mentioned, which as we all know is a very large employer, and very many others in the region are going to be looking for this certification. And this is about a semester course. So where we see this fitting in, certainly, contact your Klein rep if you want some details, would basically be probably a year 2, semester 2 course where someone's gotten through foundational autonomous robotics, and now we're going to get them in a very specific industrial robot tech program, on industrial teach pendant, on industrial robot. And then they would be able to not only have the FANUC corporate certification, but the nice thing with that is they're also going to offer it as part of I think it shows it at the top here. It's also going to be offered through NOCTI, so the NOCTI will be the national certification that the student can take. So if they're already taking that same exam as part of your pathway, right, it probably makes sense for them to just go take it through NOCTI and get a nationally accredited cert as well. So just wanted to bring that up. That is I know a big thing in development right now that we think will have some major opportunities for students, that can take that training as part of a pathway program.
I got a question. It's kind of specific to me. Hush. Okay, I'm teaching welding, machining. I've got manual machining and a Haas mill. How would this help me?
Sure. Let me ask you this: in terms of manual machining and milling, what are your challenges? Is it sometimes people will tell us, well, hey, I've got so many students and I've only got so many machines, right?
Here's the challenge. I'm trying to set it up for more independent, this is really great. More independent learning, where I'm facilitating different aspects, so I can basically have the kids working on their own while I'm intermixing with them, so that I can split up the classes to you're doing this process, you're doing this process, you're doing this process. It's a TIG, MIG, manual machining, CNC machining, right? And have them working that way. So I'm looking for opportunities, because like I said, in a high school class, you're not going to get, we're not going to get 7 or 8 mills or something like that we can work off of. And it's so what happens is that I'm working, I'd like to have the groups working, okay, here's, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, and have a better curriculum set up for them, that I don't have to sit there, and it's impossible to teach each section at that point in time and do them justice.
Okay, gotcha.
Do you kind of get where I'm at? So I'm looking for e-learning, some e-learning modules, not necessarily modules that I can plug in.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, William. I appreciate that. Cause it's just better for me to kind of understand, what you're trying to do. That was very helpful. So, biggest thing we've seen there, and actually this really kind of, took off for us, as you can imagine, during COVID with, nobody being able to get into the shop. So Amatrol has their full CNC operator, and this is actually their NIMS library. they have it on 2 different platforms, both for FANUC controls and HOS controls. The nice thing here is as you go through a lot of this, what you find is that it is really designed to be self-paced, self-directed, right? The student's going to interact at the computer screen. They're always going to learn a few objectives, and then we're going to identify, we're going to make sure we authenticate with a skill before we, move on to the next step. It really is designed to be self-paced, self-directed learning. That's kind of, to the methodology of how they develop their curriculums. One of the cool things they've done is in a lot of these modules, William, they've built in a series of virtual training simulators. So what we've seen a lot of our instructors do there is, they may say, hey, I want you to just sit down here. I want you to go through this content. It's very step-by-step. It's got a lot of interaction built into it. And I want you to load the virtual simulator and actually be able to kind of, run a program before we come in or before it's your turn, to get on the actual, mill and do it. So there's actually some pretty neat stuff they've built into that curriculum. And if you're not teaching to NIM standards, if you don't care about that, all this same content can be found in our main library, where it's more generic. It's not literally to like the NIMS terminology and objectives, and that's in our machining library here. So there's different ways, obviously, you can access that, but they have everything from CNC machining to all the basic level 1, 2, and 3 machine tools, manual machine tools. So there's some really nice supplemental stuff you may find there. And then the last thing I'll show you that we've had a big interest in recently. One of our biggest sellers recently, believe it or not, has actually been our LaVille machines. These are smaller benchtop machines. They're built in the USA in Florida. We can sell them with FANUC controls, and there's a curriculum that comes with it that actually that FANUC recognizes as a level 1 CNC operator. And we've got several employers that use FANUC controls, I know, that are very interested in this and have been hiring people out of some of our programs. But the nice thing here, right, is they've got the mill, they've got the lathe, they've actually got a combo unit, they've got a smaller EduMill unit where you can even, on a magnetic strip, you can attach a 3D printer head, so it's a combo machine. And this thing will machine steel. These are very high-powered spindles. That's one of the things we really like is these are some of the most high-powered, durable benchtop machines we've been able to find on the market. Of course, the only thing you're limited to is your build volume. But the nice thing here is it can just give you some more hands-on capability at a small price point with taking up much less space. They come with a transformer. You can probably see down here, so you can plug them into a standard wall outlet. And then, let's face it, you're not just, cutting cardboard. I mean, you can actually cut metals with these things. So
I mean, I got a TM1 and some jet lathes and some mills, like industrial. But what I'm looking at is, okay, at that point in time with that curriculum, would I streamline my what I bought from you to just that curriculum? And then what would the cost reflect that? Or would I be still looking at, because that $4,000 is an annual fee, isn't it? It's like a lease.
Correct. It's a $4,000 annual unlimited access lease.
Okay.
Or what we could do is we can do a library access, William. So if you say said, hey, I want to look at that whole CNC operating, CNC machine operator curriculum for HOSP, we could do a full library access to just this library, but then you tell us how many licenses you want, because what you may find is the per license price, right? You may say, I only need it for, whatever, 30 or 45 licenses. And that actually may be a lower price than doing the unlimited.
Yeah, because I'd be looking at both manual and the CNC. I'd like to find something, the textbooks just aren't interactive with the kids. I'll be quite honest with you. They get real technical. Kids don't get the information. I almost need something that has that has some videos in it, so it has some audio. And does this have audio with the lessons? I mean, is it does it go, or is it just reading? And do you understand what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
When
Yeah,
you
it's
go
got,
into a lesson, is it fully interactive?
it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So everything, and I can launch it for you here. And I know we only have an hour. We only got 5 minutes left. So maybe just in respect to time too, if you want, we can get on a separate meeting and I can actually launch this for you and show it to you. But everything's voiceover narrated, a lot of nice interactive. There's videos built in, but also interactions, right? Where they need to kind of click on the screen and interact with the process.
Okay, Chromebook.
Yeah,
Every kid has a Chromebook. Does this work?
it does. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's the other big thing, because we've issued everybody a Chromebook, so I don't have to sit it and dedicate certain machines for this, that I can run them through it.
Yeah, we've got most of, actually, to tell you the truth, a lot of our high schools use the Chromebooks with that have this curriculum. So I can get you the requirements on it. I can't remember if Chromebooks come. Do you know the bit size of your Chromebooks?
No, I don't.
Okay, we can look at that. I think there's a certain bit you might need, but other than that, I mean, yeah, we've got folks that use these on Chromebooks all
Yeah,
day.
that'd be something before we did a purchase. I'd have to double check all that stuff. But like I said, I am really looking for something that I can sit back and do more. It'd be almost, I'm doing more one-on-one facilitating with kids having problems and the kids are able to move at their own pace.
Yeah.
To where I feel like I'm just not spinning wheels all the time and having kids, running around.
William, why don't we do this? Shoot me a note with your email address, and
Okay.
what I'll do is I'll send you back. I'll show you kind of what a price on this library looks. I think what you'd want to do from what you just explained to me is do the main library access license, because then you're going to get all of this stuff. You'll have all the machine tools, all this CNC. You'll also have some stuff you may want to use from like the safety library, and then
I'd like for me to be able to set up almost modules for them. You see what I'm talking about?
Sure.
So it's the old module thing, but in more of an industrial environment than the old modules used to be just crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. I'll send you my email.
Okay, that sounds good, and I'll get back to you, and then I can also set you up with an account so that we can log in and you can check it out.
Hey, Joe,
Okay.
I'm interested in that HVAC new module that you have. It looks like it has a small full-size air conditioner goes along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Amatrol is they're going full speed into HVAC. I think everybody kind of agrees that energy efficiency is probably going to define this century. And so they've come up with 5 new training systems. Marty, I know they've got 6 more in R&D right now that are supposed to be coming out at the end of the year. And I think are you referring to this one right here, the 7100?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a beautiful unit. I wanted to bring this up too, guys, for anybody that would be interested. Klein did recently move into a brand new headquarters. We have a building in Davis. It's about 5,000 square foot. We have executive conference area. We've got classrooms for teacher trainings we're going to be hosting there. And then we've also got a big equipment lab where we've got some of our newest equipment available so that you can actually come check it out, and we can do a workshop, anything like that. We actually do have this system at our main office up in Davis right now. For anybody that would want to come visit us, please do contact us, and we'd love to have you, and we'll set up a site visitation for you and your group. But yeah, Marty, this is their new residential heat pump troubleshooting learning system. I know it's got the smart wireless control unit on it and everything. So there's a really nice video here. You probably already checked it out.
No, actually I haven't. So
okay. Yeah, this is a good one. They also built in the beautiful LED lights and all the inner workings of, so what you'll find is, they really set it up. It's a very nice visual tool when the students go through and actually learn, how the AC units work. So And the
That would
heat
be
pump, of course.
the fourth element that Beaumont could add to their new construction pathway.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Evan would be interested to hear about that and the new teacher that he's got coming in.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, I'll make sure to follow up with them. Do you know who I just want to talk to Evan, or was there?
I
somebody
talked to
else?
Evan, yeah, and then he's got that $1 million grant. I think this unit is what, 50,000?
Oh, no, I don't think it's quite that much. I think it's like, well, here, let me check. Did we do a quote? I don't know if I did a quote on this recently. I don't think it's 50. No, I'll figure out for you, but I'm pretty sure it's less than that.
Yes. Well, I'm going to see this video on it and interested in seeing it.
Yeah. Even with the Fault Pro, it comes with that full computer, electronic fault insertion system. I'm pretty sure you'll be under 50. I'll get you a price check on it and shoot you a note.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Appreciate the heads up on that, Marty. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't see it when I went to look for it. Maybe you could shoot me the information on where I can find it on your site, because I saw, it came up with some of your other modules, but I did not see this specific module.
Yeah, they use the how do you say the engineering term? When you go under products, it's under thermal.
Yeah, I saw several on thermo, but I did not see this unit. Maybe
Oh, okay. Okay,
I'll go
gotcha.
back
Yeah.
and look at it